Welcome to Divine Reveal. Have you ever wondered why your prayers feel like they're hitting a ceiling? Why every door you've knocked on has stayed locked while others walk through theirs like it's nothing? Why you've been carrying this burning inside your chest for years? This knowing, this certainty that you're meant for something bigger, yet you're still sitting in the same chair, in the same pain, watching the same people get what should have been yours. What if I told you that your invisible years weren't punishment? They were preparation. What if every betrayal, every delay, every moment you felt forgotten was actually God hiding you until the world was ready for what He placed inside you? Chosen one. The 13th of August is not just a date on your calendar, it's a date written in Heaven's book about you. Have you ever felt invisible? Yet heaven kept whispering your name in the midnight hours. Have you carried years of work, unrecognized, pouring out your gifts like water in the desert, yet felt something massive building beneath the surface? Have you wondered why God would give you this vision, this calling, this fire, only to watch others take credit for what flows from your spirit? Listen to me, there's a courtroom session happening in heaven right now. Your name is being called, your case is being reviewed, and the 13th of August, that's when the verdict gets delivered to earth. I can see it. Your seat being prepared in a room you've never stepped into, conversations happening about you in circles you've never walked in, doors unlocking that have your name carved into the wood. If your spirit feels this stirring, if something in your chest just quickened, type "I receive" in the comments right now. Let's flood this space with faith. Let heaven see that His chosen ones are still here, still believing, still ready. And thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds into a harvest that will feed others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your time, your heart open to receive what God wants to pour through these words. Because what I'm about to tell you will shake everything you thought you knew about timing, about recognition, about why the wait has been so long. The 13th of August isn't coming by accident. It's coming by appointment. And some of you have been living in the shadow of that appointment your entire life. Are you ready to step into the light? How many decades have you poured your life into others while your own dreams collected dust in the corner? How many nights have you laid awake wondering if God forgot about the fire He lit inside you 40 years ago? How many times have you watched younger people walk into the very opportunities you prayed for while you're still waiting for someone, anyone, to notice what you've been building in the shadows? You know what I'm talking about. You've been the one holding families together when everyone else fell apart. You've been the prayer warrior in the background, the caregiver who never got cared for, the one who sacrificed your own ambitions so others could chase theirs. You've been invisible for so long, you started believing that's all you'll ever be. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. Your invisible years weren't wasted years, they were sacred years. While the world overlooked you, heaven was taking notes. Every sacrifice you made in secret, every tear you cried alone, every moment you chose to serve instead of being served, God saw it all. And He's been preparing something for you that will make every painful year make perfect sense. You think about Joseph, don't you? Thrown in a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for years. Can you imagine what those nights felt like? Can you picture him staring at those stone walls, wondering if the dreams God showed him were just the fantasies of a foolish boy? 13 years. 13 years of invisibility. 13 years of watching others get promoted while he rotted in a cell. But here's what Joseph didn't know during those dark years. Every day in that prison was preparing him for Pharaoh's palace. Every injustice was building his character. Every betrayal was strengthening his faith. God wasn't punishing Joseph, he was positioning him. Because when Pharaoh finally called his name, Joseph didn't just walk out of prison, he walked into destiny. That's your story too. You've been in your own kind of prison, haven't you? Maybe it's been the prison of caring for aging parents while your friends traveled the world. Maybe it's been the prison of a marriage that took more than it gave. Maybe it's been the prison of a job that paid the bills but killed your spirit. Maybe it's been the prison of health challenges that forced you to watch life from the sidelines. But what if I told you that prison was actually preparation? What if every year you felt forgotten was actually God hiding you until the world was ready for what he placed inside you? You weren't being punished. You were being protected. Because if they had recognized you too soon, if they had given you the platform before you were ready, it would have destroyed you. Think about it. A diamond doesn't form on the surface. It's created deep underground, under pressure, so intense it would crush most things. For millions of years, it sits in darkness, compressed by forces beyond imagination. And when it finally reaches the surface, it doesn't apologize for its brilliance. It shines because it survived what would have destroyed anything weaker. You were a seed in the dark, buried but not dead. Every year they overlooked you, every time they passed you by, every moment you felt invisible. You were growing roots so deep that when your season finally comes, nothing will be able to uproot you. You weren't being rejected. You were being prepared for a level of recognition that requires the kind of character that can only be forged in the furnace of obscurity. And here's what's going to blow your mind. All those years, when you thought God was silent, he was actually orchestrating. While you were changing diapers and wiping tears, he was arranging divine appointments. While you were working jobs that seemed meaningless, he was connecting you with people who would become part of your destiny. While you were enduring betrayals that felt like death, he was removing the very people who would have sabotaged your calling. Every closed door protected you from the wrong room. Every delayed breakthrough saved you from premature exposure. Every season of waiting was actually a season of divine preparation that will make your recognition not just meaningful, but unstoppable. But here's where it gets supernatural. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when heaven looks down and says, "It's time." When the Father turns to the angels and declares, "Prepare the stage, call their name. The world is finally ready for what I've been building in secret." For Joseph, that moment came on one ordinary morning when a baker knocked on his prison cell. He had no idea that within 24 hours he'd be standing before Pharaoh. He had no idea that one dream interpretation would catapult him from prisoner to prime minister. He had no idea that his invisible years were about to explode into the most visible position in the entire kingdom. And that same divine moment is approaching for you. The 13th of August isn't just another date on your calendar. It's the date heaven has marked for your recognition. It's the day when all those years of being overlooked suddenly make sense. It's the moment when people will stop asking, "Who are you?" and start asking, "How can we learn from you?" What happens when heaven finally says, "It's time"? What happens when the same God who remembered Joseph in prison, who remembered Hannah at the altar, who remembered David in the shepherd's field, suddenly remembers you? What happens when your name starts being spoken in rooms you've never entered, when opportunities start chasing you instead of you chasing them, when your phone starts ringing with invitations to tables you never thought you'd sit at? You're about to see it on the 13th of August. But first, you need to understand why this recognition isn't just a reward for your faithfulness, it's a responsibility for your future. Because God doesn't just give you a platform to celebrate your past. He gives you influence to change someone else's future. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's chosen ones walk around apologizing for taking up space in rooms they were destined to own. It's seeing you shrink back when your name gets mentioned, like you don't deserve to be in the conversation. Like decades of faithfulness, decades of pouring out, decades of standing when everyone else sat down, like none of that matters. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. The 13th of August isn't just another day circled on your calendar. This isn't some random date I pulled out of thin air to get your hopes up. No, beloved. The 13th of August is a marked date, a preordained appointment that was scheduled in heaven's boardroom before you ever took your first breath. Let me paint you a picture that's going to shake something loose in your spirit. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there are conversations happening about you in rooms you've never entered. There are decisions being made about your future by people who don't even know your name yet. There are doors being oiled, keys being cut, stages being built, and your name is written on the blueprints. You think it's coincidence that you're hearing this message today? You think it's accident that your heart is pounding right now, that something in your chest is stirring like it hasn't stirred in years? No, baby. This is divine alignment. This is heaven's way of preparing you for what's about to unfold. Let me take you to the book of Daniel, chapter 10. Daniel had been praying, fasting, crying out to God for 21 days, 21 long days of silence. 21 days of wondering if heaven was even listening. 21 days of his enemies whispering, "Where is your God now?" But here's what Daniel didn't know: the angel had been dispatched on day one. Day one. The answer was already in motion, but there was a battle in the heavenly realm. The prince of Persia was trying to block the blessing, and for 21 days, Daniel waited. For 21 days, his faith was tested. For 21 days, it looked like nothing was happening. But on day 22, the angel broke through and said these words that should tattoo themselves on your heart. From the first day that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. From the first day. Not the 21st day, the first day. Dear one, your the 13th of August has been in motion since the first day you cried out to God about this situation. Since the first day you said, "God, I know you have more for me." Since the first day you felt that stirring, that knowing, that burning in your bones that wouldn't let you settle for less than what heaven placed inside you. The delay wasn't denial. The silence wasn't rejection. There has been a battle in the heavenly realm over your breakthrough, and the 13th of August is when the breakthrough breaks through. If you've been in a long season of waiting, if you've been standing when others said sit down, if you've been believing when others said give up, put "I'm still here" in the chat right now. Let's show the enemy we're not quitting. Let's show hell that God's chosen ones don't fold under pressure. Now, I'm going to tell you in a moment exactly what the 13th of August unlocks, exactly what doors are about to swing wide open, exactly whose attention you're about to capture. But first, you need to understand why the wait has been so long. You need to understand why God allowed you to sit in the shadows while others took the spotlight. You need to understand why your gifts were kept hidden while inferior talents got promoted. Because if you don't understand the why behind the wait, you'll waste the blessing when it comes. If you don't grasp the purpose behind the pain, you'll squander the platform when you finally get it. Here's the truth that's going to set something free in your spirit. God wasn't withholding from you. He was protecting you. Every closed door, every delayed breakthrough, every time you got passed over. That wasn't punishment. That was preservation. God was shielding you from opportunities that would have broke you, from platforms you weren't ready to handle, from recognition that would have destroyed you instead of developing you. You see, there's a difference between being ready and being prepared. Ready is surface level. Prepared goes bone deep. And God has been preparing you in the secret place, in the wilderness, in the waiting room of His presence. He's been teaching you how to stand under pressure, how to worship in the storm, how to keep your heart soft when life gets hard. Because the 13th of August isn't just about recognition, it's about responsibility. It's not just about getting your moment, it's about stewarding your assignment. And the assignment that's coming your way requires a level of character that only gets forged in the fire of adversity. Think about it. If they had promoted you 5 years ago, would you have been ready for what you're walking into now? If they had given you the platform before the process, would you have had the wisdom to handle what's about to be placed in your hands? If recognition had come before revelation, would you have had the foundation to sustain what God is about to build through you? The answer is no. And God loved you too much to set you up for failure. So He allowed you to be overlooked until you became undeniable. He let you be underestimated until you became unstoppable. He permitted you to be forgotten by man until you became unforgettable to heaven. And now the season is shifting. Now the atmosphere is changing. Now the very people who counted you out are about to witness something they never saw coming. Your name is about to be spoken in rooms you've never entered. Your reputation is about to precede you into places you've never been. Your influence is about to reach people you've never met. But this, the 13th of August appointment, it's not just about personal vindication. It's not just about proving the doubters wrong or making your haters eat their words. This is about kingdom advancement. This is about souls being reached. This is about generations being changed through what God is about to release through you. So here's my question for you, chosen one. Are you ready to step out of the shadow and into the spotlight? Are you ready to stop apologizing for the greatness God placed inside you? Are you ready to own your calling without permission, to walk in your purpose without apology, to take your seat at tables where your name is already written in gold? Because, ready or not, the 13th of August is coming, and what God is about to do through you will leave no room for doubt about whose you are and what you carry. You want to know the real reason they overlooked you. You want to know why your gifts went unnoticed while mediocrity got the spotlight. You think it was politics, favoritism, bad timing. Number. You weren't overlooked. You were hidden. There's a difference between being ignored and being protected. There's a difference between being forgotten and being preserved. And if you've spent years wondering why doors stayed closed, why your name wasn't called, why your talents sat on the shelf while others with half your ability got the stage, listen carefully. God shields what is valuable until the right season. In 1 Kings 17, God told Elijah to hide by the brook. Not because Elijah was in trouble, but because what was coming required a man who had been refined in isolation. While everyone else was performing in public, Elijah was being prepared in private. The ravens didn't feed him because he was forgotten. They fed him because he was chosen. You see, recognition without preparation is destruction. Fame without foundation is collapse. And God loved you too much to let the world have you before you were ready to handle what comes with visibility. Think about this. A diamond stays underground for millions of years, enduring crushing pressure before it can handle the light. The moment it surfaces too early, it crumbles. But when it's ready, nothing can break it. That's you. Every rejection was protection. Every closed door was a shield. Every time they passed you over, God was saying, "Not yet. They're not strong enough to carry what I'm about to give them." But here's what's going to blow your mind. The same people who couldn't see you then are about to witness what God was building in you all along. The same voices that said you weren't ready are about to watch you walk into rooms they can't even enter. If they had recognized you too soon, they would have destroyed you. Your heart wasn't hardened enough for their attacks. Your identity wasn't rooted enough for their criticism. Your purpose wasn't clear enough for their confusion. Jeremiah 1-5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Set apart. not overlooked. Set apart. God doesn't make mistakes with timing. He doesn't accidentally delay breakthrough. He doesn't forget his promises. Every season of hiddenness was building something in you that the world is about to witness. The 13th of August isn't random. It's the day your hiding season ends and your recognition season begins. The question is, are you ready to be seen by the same people who swore you were invisible? Because what happens when the hidden becomes revealed, when the overlooked becomes undeniable? That's about to change everything you thought you knew about God's timing. You know what's been eating at you, don't you? That restless energy, that feeling like you're standing at the edge of something massive, but you can't see over the cliff. You've been waking up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding, not from fear, but from anticipation. Your spirit knows something your mind hasn't figured out yet. Let me paint you a picture of the 13th of August morning. You're going to wake up different, not because you went to bed different, but because while you were sleeping, heaven was working. The atmosphere around your life is about to crack wide open like an egg, and what's been incubating in the darkness for years is finally ready to hatch. Picture this. You open your eyes and instead of that familiar weight on your chest, that dread of another invisible day, there's peace, unusual peace. The kind that doesn't make sense considering your circumstances haven't changed overnight. But something has shifted in the realm you can't see, and your spirit feels it before your mind catches up. Your phone rings. It's a number you don't recognize, but you answer anyway. The voice on the other end mentions your name in a context that stops you cold. They're talking about an opportunity, a position, a door that you never even knocked on. How did they get your name? Who recommended you? Here's what's happening in the unseen realm. Right now, tonight, while you're listening to this message, there are conversations happening about you in boardrooms you've never stepped foot in. Your name is being written on lists for positions you haven't applied for. People you've never met are saying, "What about that person? The one who's been quiet but consistent." Do you remember Joseph in Genesis 41? One day he's forgotten in prison, the next day Pharaoh is calling his name. Between verse 13 and 14, everything changed. Not because Joseph got lucky, but because his appointed time had come. The Bible says, "And Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon." But here's what's going to shock you about the 13th of August. This shift will look sudden to others. They'll say, "You got lucky, you knew somebody, you were in the right place at the right time." But you and I know it's been years in the making. Every rejection was redirection. Every closed door was protection. Every silent season was preparation for the sound of your name, echoing through halls you've only dreamed of walking. The enemy has been whispering lies to you for decades. You're too old. You're too late. You missed your window. Nobody sees you. Nobody cares. But what if I told you that your name is already in their mouths? What if the recognition you've been praying for is already in motion, and the 13th of August is simply when you hear it? Isaiah 55:11 says, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose." Every prayer you've prayed about recognition, every tear you've shed over being overlooked, none of it was wasted. It's all been building to this moment. Your name is already being spoken in rooms you've never been in. The 13th of August is when those whispers become your reality. Dear chosen one, if you've stayed with me through this entire message, that alone tells me something powerful about your spirit. You didn't stumble here by accident. God led you to this moment, to these words, because He's preparing you for what's coming on the 13th of August. Let me remind you of what we've walked through together tonight. You are not invisible. You've been hidden for protection. Your years of waiting weren't wasted, they were investment. Every door that closed wasn't rejection, it was redirection towards something greater. And the 13th of August isn't just another date, it's your divine appointment with recognition that's been building in heaven's courtroom for years. Remember this. When Joseph was finally called from the dungeon, he didn't have time to doubt. When Esther was positioned for such a time as this, she didn't have the luxury of insecurity. When David was anointed king while still a shepherd boy, he couldn't see the palace from the pasture. But God's timing is perfect, and your moment is coming. I need you to understand something that will carry you through the next few weeks. You are not walking this journey alone. The same God who has sustained you through every invisible year is the same God who's about to make you undeniably visible. He hasn't forgotten your name, your gifts, or your calling. He's been preparing the stage while you've been preparing your heart. And you're not just part of an audience tonight, you're part of a family. There are thousands of people watching this message right now who understand your struggle, who felt your pain, who've questioned their timing just like you have. We're a community of believers who refuse to give up on God's promises, even when the weight feels unbearable. Before I pray for you, I want you to ask yourself this question. If God opened the door of recognition tomorrow, would you be ready to walk through it with confidence, knowing that He placed you there for His glory and His purposes? Now, I want to pray over your life, and I want you to receive this prayer as if I'm standing right there with you, my hand on your shoulder, speaking life over your future.